all of this comes down to self-determination. It is about self-determination and occupied peoples who have the right to self-determination. Whether we talk about the Palestinians or the West Papuans, we are giving a huge amount of press time and air coverage to what's happening in Gaza, and it's right and proper we do. It is a terrible conflict. But as Mitch points out, right here in Australia, the people of West Papua, just like the Palestinians, have the right to self-determination. There is a solution. They have the right to determine their own future. Indonesia is an unlawful occupier. There is an ongoing military operation right now, just as it was happening in Palestine, with a complete media blockout, and there is absolutely zero conversation in the Australian media about it. We need to start paying more attention to the unlawful occupation happening right on our doorstep.
Isn't part of the problem there that it's virtually impossible to actually get into West Papua, even without COVID?
That's right. Indonesia is refusing to allow international media, refusing to allow visits from the UN, despite Australia and more than half of the UN's member states calling upon Indonesia to allow access, because we need to see what's actually happening. We're getting reports of displacement of civilians, killing of children, disproportionate targeting of civilians, calling civilians, Indigenous West Papuans, terrorists and targeting them. It is an awful situation. And Australia needs to start playing a more prominent role. We have to stop providing military aid to Indonesia. We have to stop being complicit in these abuses.
Dave Sharma, is that a sensible suggestion?
Look, I think there's an understandable but I think unrealistic belief in Australia sometimes that if we ordain something, so it will be. That if we just do something, countries will react and they'll do what we ask them to do. I'd love to see a two-state solution, but I don't think Australia acting alone can bring it about. I would like to see the West
Certainly Australia...
Could I finish? I'd like to see the West Papuans people's rights and autonomy respected, but whether we demand Indonesia do this, whether we threaten to cut off military ties or not, I don't think that would have any impact whatsoever. So I'm interested in what can we practically do to improve the situation for people?
We can actually stop voting against measures at the international community to support Palestine. Exactly. We can stop
Australia... I thought we were talking about West Papua here.
Well, we can also talk about that too. Australia can stop arming the Indonesian military and supporting the Indonesian state. Australia has an obligation under international law to not support and to take actions to give effect to people's right to self-determination. That requires standing up for the West Papuan people, and it requires standing up for the Palestinians.
And can I just say...